Main proxies activated in the region, and Iran also carrying out direct strikes on other countries. Let's talk about Tehran's strategy with Behnam Taleblu. He's the senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, the FDD. Thank you for being with us, Behnam. So we've got strikes on Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad. They're all activated. Clearly, deterrence is not working in this part of the world.
Pleasure to be with you. No, it's not working, and every state, every actor, every terrorist group feels like it has the incentive to press the advantage. You know, the majority of the latter actors you mentioned there are part of this thing that Tehran calls the axis of resistance. It's something Tehran, again, has reactivated in the aftermath of October 7th to indirectly apply pressure on Israel and America and even international shipping to get Israel to do an about-face towards its political and military goals in Gaza. And the tools Iran is using closer to home in Iraq and Syria, and historically for the first time ever in Pakistan, ballistic missiles. The stronger and the more capable Iran's missile arsenal becomes, the lower the threshold for the use of force is. So in this kind of a world, offense is what is going to be favored, and these are the kinds of weapons that we're going to be seeing more, not less of, in the Middle East future.
Do you think that Iran has perhaps overreached here? Does it risk a backlash with all of these attacks going on simultaneously, including against a nuclear-armed state?
I would say potentially, but leaning towards no. I mean, there have been 15 post-Iran-Iraq war, that's the conflict that birthed the regime's ballistic missile capability, military operations publicly from Iran's territory. So from 1988 to present, 15 public missile operations from Iran. All of them, with the exception of 2 days ago, which targeted Pakistan, targeted Iraq and Syria, and the regime believed it could weather any kind of retaliation. By targeting Pakistan, which is a nuclear-armed state, it's a fundamentally different calculation. Iran has weathered a insurgency by the group claimed to target there before, Jaish al-Adl, which is actually on the U.S. FTO list, unlike the Houthis. The Houthis are a specially designated global terrorist. So Iran believed its capability could allow it to press its advantage. But what Pakistan just showed is that it attempted to restore not deterrence, but parity. You strike, I strike, we call it off. And let's not forget, these two states, despite having somewhat amicable relations, have an incentive not to escalate here because they both struck in each other's territory where there is the downtrodden and dispossessed Sunni Baluch population, which both countries have fought smaller scale conflicts against.
And I've seen it said that the Baluch region of Iran has been quite involved in the anti-regime protests, and some analysts have argued that highlighting this separatist group actually works in favor of the IRGC. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure it works in favor, but there could have been a dual motive in the sense that if Iran genuinely thought that terrorist group, Jaish al-Adl, was doing something either in Iran or in Pakistan, and they're known to straddle that border region, they may have also been encouraged to use public military force against it in a sovereign territory because they've also done the same thing to Iran's west. Remember, 3 times in 2022, in the fall of 2022, meaning after the Massa protests, Iran struck northern Iraq, Iraqi Kurdistan. This was likely a message to a major ethnic group in Iran that was protesting. As you just mentioned, Baluchistan has also been a major hub of protests in Iran. So perhaps the Iranians also had a dual political message, hoping to signal to domestic discontents inside that even your co-religionists and co-ethnic groups outside the country are not safe.
And how do these multiple attacks outside Iran's borders relate to what is going on inside the country?
Well, there is always obviously great linkage, or in my view at least, there is great linkage. When Iran is launching public ballistic missile operations at targets in Iraq that it claims with no proof to be Mossad, and innocent Kurdish businessmen and their families die, or in Syria when they claim it's ISIS, or in Pakistan when they claim it's Jaish al-Adl, or historically in Iraq when they claim it's a Kurdish opposition group, or even when they struck the U.S. publicly. They want to be seen as responding. So they believe they get some kind of domestic dividend at home, some kind of rally around the flag, some kind of status boon, not from the population, but from regime elites, largely within themselves, within faction of the Guard Corps, within factions of the clergy, within factions of the business and economic and military elite. Abroad, they believe when other states see this, that this gives them a deterrent dividend. For example, I'm sure there was a message to Israel, an external audience member as well, because when Iran fired the Khaybar Shekan, which name itself relates to the Prophet Muhammad's wars against Jewish tribes in Arabia in the 7th century. When it was fired from southwestern Iran towards Syria, which is about 1,300 kilometers, and the missile stated range is about 1,450 kilometers. It's Iran's first ever medium-range ballistic missile operation during peacetime, which also is a signal to Israel because point to point, 1,400 kilometers is the distance between Iran and Israel.
Fascinating. Behnam, thank you so much. Behnam Ben Taleblu there at the FDD. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.